first, Michelle's going to say a little bit about her. For those of you who don't know Michelle, she is an Emmy Award-winning producer, singer-songwriter, sync and music licensing expert. Michelle has over 5,000 song placements in film and television, which I think is incredible. And she's working her business every single day. So it's not like she did this a few years ago or even 20 years ago, and she kind of moved away from it. She's in it, living and breathing it every single day. So that's one reason why I absolutely love talking to Michelle about song pitching and sync and music licensing, because she knows her stuff. And my favorite thing, she tells it like it is. So what you can expect today, she's going to dive in. She can tell a little bit about herself. She's going to go over some of her top song pitching and sync and music licensing tips. And then we're going to open up to you guys after each point, each training point. She's going to open up to take some questions that are relevant to that training point. Okay. And then at the very end, if you could save your questions that are unrelated to the training points to the very end, we will spend some time after the training talking about maybe some other questions you might have, and also sharing with you how you can get involved with her latest master course, which is called From Song to Sync. Right now, she's already got, how many? I mean, you already have like at least, what, 12, 15 people already enrolled in the course. And barely, you know.
Yeah,
barely
we can't take too many because it's very hands-on.
Yes.
Yeah, my former students
for that.
Yeah, and my former students too will tell you, who just graduated, that, you know, everybody gets so much attention.
Yes. So we're going to tell you how you can get inside From Song to Sync if that's something that resonates with you and if it aligns with where you're at right now in your music career. So let's see where we're at now. Looks like we have everyone muted and we should be ready to get started shortly.
So Brianna, I am going to do what you suggested, which is make you the host now so that you can continue admitting the people, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And you can multitask, talk and do that. That would be awesome. So one sec, everybody, just let me do this.
And I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I've got Son of Elroy from Albuquerque here. We've got Jen, Jessica. Looks like I have a Chin, Craig. This is really, really wonderful. So
yeah, I know so many of you. Thank you. It's so wonderful that we're all here. I have you all on gallery view, so it's super fun. And seeing lots of great faces and names too. Sorry, Brianna, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're great. You're great.
Cool. So sometimes I'm a little bad about seeing what's going on in the chat. So everybody just know that, but Brianna's monitoring the chat and I'm going to try to glance at that now and then. And should we start, Brianna?
Yeah, we should totally dive in. Absolutely. So, you know, I'm going to continue allowing people to come in. Like I said, we've got a packed house. You know, we're hitting almost 100 people right now in here. So I want to just first say, when it does come time for questions, please be patient. You won't be able to we may not be able to get to all of them because there are so many of you, but please be patient. When we get to the question time, I'll ask you to type your question in the chat and I will probably take them by order. Sometimes they might come in too quickly and I may not be able to get to them all. So just be patient. And like I said, you can always hold your question to the end also. So yeah, we should dive in. And again, guys, welcome. If you have any questions for me, you should be able to just send a chat to me directly, privately, like if you're having any issues. Also, if you have any connectivity issues throughout, refresh your screen or leave and come back in. It could be something wrong with the browser that you're using. Okay, I'm gonna mute and let you take it away, my sister.
All right. Well, thank you, Brianna. You are the best. Brianna's my coach. Everyone needs a coach. I need a coach too. And Brianna is amazing, helping me with my book that I'm writing and with the course that I'm teaching and with all the trainings and everything. So, and she's an amazing singer-songwriter herself and has some fabulous books out. One called The Artist's Pathway. I always mess it up, but The Creative Artist's Pathway. And one that just came out about reality shows and how to participate in audition optimally for the reality shows. It's just a fabulous, fabulous book. So I just say that. about that. And I think you all pretty much know about me, so I won't waste your time here with too much of that, but I'll just tell you briefly that I started out as an artist, as most songwriters do, music producers do, pretty much all of us. I morphed into being a producer and a songwriter more than being an artist, but lately I've had some songs from my artist project on a new album, and that's from a company called Empath Music, and I'm really excited about that. That was very fun. So during these COVID times, I pulled out my artist project, like so many people pulled out projects they hadn't gotten to, so it was pretty cool. I mostly, when I started my career, my first placements were in sync, which wasn't even called sync then. There wasn't even that word, but they were music placements in movies. And in 1987, I had my first. So my first music license, was also my first saw cut with major label artists. Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, if you all remember them, the soul group, and Junior Walker from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Urban, I'm not supposed to use that word, but R&B artists who, it was my first both happened at the same time for me. So that's very rare because I've been involved in sync since the beginning of my career. Most people come to it later. But this is how I started. So at this exact same time, having artists record my songs and having songs placed in movies and TV. I got a publishing deal and have worked with the major publishers in that way. I ended up working from that on a soap opera. For 18 years, I worked on Guiding Light, and another 8 on Another World. And I worked on General Hospital, All My Children, One Life to Live. So I did a lot of the soaps, and then now the soaps are mostly gone. And I've done just tons of television shows, tons of movies, ads, games, trailers. I have songs in retail stores. I believe in diversifying. So that's super important. And I think that if you have one takeaway from this, that might be key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I tell everyone that, because when I worked on Guiding Light, people said to me, why do you work so hard? Why are you hustling so much? You make so much money on that show. And it was a network CBS show. And if anyone knows anything about royalties, you know how much money that is. But I always knew that show would be canceled one day. And if I put all my eggs in one basket, it would have been a disaster. And when that show was canceled in 2009, it was a disaster. My income plummeted, but thank God I had diversified and made sure that I had my music elsewhere and could continue my career, because if not, I would have been back waiting tables had I put all my eggs in one basket. So that's why I say, we should never say, oh, I have a sync agent, or, oh, I have a music library, or, oh, that is not going to cut it. We have to have our music in so many places. So with that said, let me go to the things that Brianna wants to talk about. And then anything you want to know about me, you can ask in the chat, and Brianna can tell later. But if you just go online to my website, Sweeter Songs, sweeter like sugar, sweetersongs.com, my credit sheet is there, and you can, I don't want to waste your time with that, but I've done a lot of stuff. Now let's see. I also wanted to discuss quickly that, there's enough work to go around. So anybody who's sitting here saying, well, Michelle gets lots of work because she has all these credits and has been doing it so long, it doesn't work like that. There's work for all of us. There is so much work to go around. There is not enough time in the day for me to write everything. There's not even enough time in the day for Diane Warren to write everything. There is place for us and our music all the time, everywhere. There are opportunities everywhere. And so once we don't put those walls in front of us and those obstacles, and we are open and understand that everyone here on this training has opportunities waiting for them out there to get work as long as they're active and pursuing them, that it can happen. So, and every music supervisor, every A&R person wants to discover something new. That's why new artists get signed all the time. That's why new music comes out all the time. That's why there's a new song on a movie and a TV show all the time, because people want to discover new things. They just don't want to stick with someone like me who's been doing it forever. So the playing field is quite equal. So really, I can't tell you that more. So when you're feeling down, just think about that. It's equal. You have just as much opportunity as me, as Brianna, as anyone in this room. And there are some very successful people like my friend Jess in this room who I haven't seen for so long, and I'm so honored she's here. She is just such a successful and worldwide famous EDM dance artist. And yes, so, but even Jess is here, right? Because we all can learn more. I watch webinars all day. So let's see. So our first thing that Brianna wanted us to talk about was how to create the optimum styles of music for licensing so we can start pitching our music. So yes, anything can be placed, because, you know, when I'm going to say what I'm going to say, you're going to go, well, I watched Grey's Anatomy and they played a love song, and well, I watched This Is Us and I heard something sad. And yes, okay, so let's just start off with artists and songwriters are not happy people, right? We are all creating music from the depths and darkness of our worlds. Most of us write slow songs, unhappy songs, sad songs, broken-hearted songs, searching for some help songs. Most of us are doing that. That's what artists do, because that's how they, you know, they discuss and work out their own issues and their own problems. And aren't we lucky we have that outlet to do that? But that all said, because there's so much of that music created and out there, what is always really super needed is up-tempo songs. Up-tempo, happy, poppy, dancey songs. It could be EDM, could be hip-hop. Hip-hop is a huge genre. If you can make up-tempo hip-hop with no samples, no loops, no store-bought beats, no profanity, oh my God, you're gonna clean up. There's so little of it around, and it's so needed. But EDM music is sometimes rock music, but anything up tempo is what we really need to be concentrating on, because we just don't write enough of it. And the music supervisors are always looking for this kind of music. Even just right today, I got a brief from music supervisor Des Luther, and I saw that he needed some of that. And this is every single day that I'm getting asked for up-tempo. Please, God, do you have anything that's happy? So, you know, we want to write songs that I want to backtrack 1 second and say, you know, we want to write songs from our heart. We want to find some heart in these things. So we don't just want to write for sync, because I find that very ugly. I want to write the best song ever, every time. And I want to put some heart into it. So I'm going to search for a happy place inside me, right? I'm not just going to write targeted for sync, because people can feel that it's not authentic, and they want authentic music. So even if it's happy, it should be authentic. So we want to write things about going for it, being an original, empowering songs, inspiring songs. Girl power is super useful. Songs about home, things that happen at home, very useful. Summer, sunshine, sunny days, things about togetherness that are not romantic. Okay, we want to stay away from love songs and romance songs, and even if they're happy love songs, because there's so much of them. Now, of course, if you write them, that's fine. And like we were saying, you know, there is a place for them, and they do get placed. So don't stop writing from your heart and writing what you love and what's important to you. But every so often, if you can write one of these up-tempo songs and add them to your catalog, you'll really be doing yourself a service. And even an up-tempo song, but not about love. It can be about world love, world peace, coming together, making the world a better place, but not, oh, Johnny, I love you so dearly, even if it's a dance song, because that is so hard to get placed. It's so hard to get placed something about love and romantic love. So things about soul searching are also good, as long as they have a positive, hopeful slant. Things about being there for someone, kind of like Allie Willis's song "I'll Be There for You" from Friends. That's really good, because it's not a love song. It's "I'll be there for you." It could be to a friend, to a grandmother, to a mother, to a child, to any to a dog. I mean, you know, so that's really, really important. We also want to write songs that are clean with no profanity and nothing too sexy, because they're super hard to place. Now, can you get them placed in one of the streaming shows now? Yeah, because Hulu, Netflix don't have as many parameters. But why do we want to do that to our songs? I want my songs in Disney and Nickelodeon on ABC. I want my songs to be available for every platform. So I'm not going to use profanity in my songs. And the same with anything being too overtly sexual. The less you do that, the more opportunities you have for yourself. Now, a lot of people, I know you go on webinars, right? All of us watch these things, and people talk about universal lyrics. But what universal lyrics mean, or we're discussing all these topics that I'm talking about, it doesn't mean you have to dumb your songs down and use cliche. You can still use metaphor, details, things that are specific in your songs, as long as they're not about a specific love relationship, you're okay. So definitely, you know, try not to do the sky is blue, the sun is yellow. Yeah, I've heard all that. Give me some interesting things. Look at Taylor Swift's new album for an example of amazing lyric. I mean, her song Cardigan is amazing, the lyric incredible. Something like that is universal, but yet it's very specific. So I would just, you know, really recommend always writing the best song possible and the best melody possible, and making sure your songs have bridges, middle eights, some part in the middle that takes us somewhere else in the song. Don't dumb your song down with no bridge, because people have no attention span and they get bored. And, you know, that way we're keeping their interest so that they're on this beautiful, you know, 3-minute journey. And speaking of time, since we're on time, minute, you know, how long a song should be, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. That's it. Don't send someone a 4-minute song, because what happens is the music supervisors, the A&R people, they look first and they see, oh God, the song is 4 minutes. I don't want to listen to that. They might not even listen to it because they don't have any attention span. Because why? They are so busy. And all of us in this room and a million more are sending them songs every day. And they have so many songs in their queue to listen to. So if they see there's a 6-minute song, they're not even going to play that. They're just going to say, forget it, right? The other things we want to make sure about are, and there is an exception to this, which is EDM music, and Jess will attest to this. We need short intros. Intros, 2 bars. Quick, get into the song, unless it's an EDM song, because the EDM song is all about the instrumental. It's all about the music and the musical lead part. And so there is an exception there. But if you send someone an EDM song, they know that, and they know it's an EDM song. But if you're writing a pop song, a rock song, a hip hop song, any other kind of genre, country song, make sure that your intros are short. And also, by the way, just since I mentioned country songs are very, very, very hard to get placed. They're probably the genre the most difficult to get placed. So if you're a country artist, just know that it's a little more difficult for you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't. I write country music. I even did a country music commission for a production music library, you know, where they paid me to make them country songs, but they're still much harder to get placed. But now back to that. So after short intros, we don't want instrumental sections unless, again, it's EDM music. If you have an instrumental section in the middle of your song, the powers that be turn it off. I've seen it happen every time I've gone to a meeting and there's an instrumental section. Every time I pitch every time some student sends it to me when the instrumental section comes, I'm like, oh, bored. Okay, so just don't do it. It's cool if you're playing live. If you have an instrumental section in your song, add vocalese. La, 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 add some vocal in there, because this way people keep their interest. But once there's no vocal, unless it's EDM music, then people don't pay attention anymore. You know, EDM music is different because the instrumental parts are so hooky that people will listen to that. But other than that, no, so don't do that. And now probably among these three, the most important thing, no fades at the end. Hard, hard, hard endings. If you have a fade on the end of your song, no music supervisor will use it. No music editor will use it anymore. And that seems so bizarre, of course, because, you know, my 80s songs, 90s songs, even my songs from 2000s, they all have fades. It was normal. But now all of a sudden there's this new thing where we can't have fades. So just don't have fades. It's almost like sometimes you can pitch a song to a music supervisor or an editor and they fast forward to the end of the song and then they write you a nasty note that says your song has a fade. So, you know, yeah, and Jess is laughing. Yeah, just don't do it because, you know, it just, why give yourself heartache and have someone be mean, you know? I mean, and not just, they're really not being mean. They're telling you the truth. Don't send me that. And even to go even further than that, I did a commission for a German production company last year. All my songs had hard endings, meaning they ended smack on the vocal, smack on a drum beat. They ended, okay? They did not end on the tonic on the downbeat, okay? I had to redo 80 mixes because some people wanted to, ooh, sorry. Let's wait till that goes by. Sorry. Okay.
Michelle, will you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. Okay, so did you hear me discussing the hard endings? Did we hear that before the fire extinguisher? Okay, good. So some people really require that hard ending to be on the tonic, right? The tonic being the root of the key, and on the downbeat, not on an upbeat. So they want it to end on the 1. They don't want it to end on the 3, and they are serious about it, that I had to redo. To them, that was not a hard ending because I did not end on the tonic on the downbeat. So I'm just giving you a little warning. Sometimes, you know, you can get something even that strict. And these, you know, these are just me trying to help save you from my school of hard knocks, right? And all of that, that's been done. Now, in addition, the last thing I'll discuss about the Optimum song is the Optimum song is a fully well-produced master quality song production. You look, lyrics, melody, subjective. What I like, what you like, what someone likes. You know, I teach at a school too where people send me songs for critique. And yeah, I'm basically coming from my own feeling of the lyric could be better, the melody could be better, the chorus didn't lift, it didn't take me here, it didn't take me there. Yeah. But that's subjective, really, right? But what is not subjective is that you have a master quality recording that sounds like the radio, that sounds like a record that you would buy if anyone bought any music. So that is so important. You can't pitch a guitar vocal. You can't pitch a piano vocal. You can't pitch something where the vocals are out of tune and out of time, where the instruments are out of tune and out of time. Last night, a student in my class brought me a song where he had live horns, and the horns were so out of tune that, and the problem was that he couldn't hear it, which is not a crime. But someone needs to be able to help you to hear that. So you need to be able to hear if your vocals are pitchy, if they're not in time with the beat, if your instruments are not tuned, if your guitar player didn't tune. Like I always tell this silly story, but my partner, my co-writer of 39 years, has perfect pitch. he can, if you play him a chord, if you play him a song, if you play him a note, he does not need any reference or to go to a piano. He can tell you what key it is, all the notes that are playing. He can tell you what key, you know, what, everything about it. He can tell you the intervals. I mean, he just, with no reference, not playing a note in the air, can tell you he has perfect pitch. So the bizarre thing though about him is he doesn't care if the instruments are well tuned. So it's just this conundrum of strangeness, right? And I'll come in and our session will be at 8 p.m. and he'll be playing and I'll go, Larry, tune your guitar. He will reply, I tuned it this morning. Okay, I live in California where in the morning the temperature can be 40 degrees and by noon the temperature will be 80 degrees. And then back by 8 p.m. the temperature might be 30 degrees and maybe it rained. And all these things have affected his guitar all day, but he tuned this morning. It doesn't bother him. So even though he has perfect pitch, it's the weirdest thing. So I'm always constantly saying, did you tune? Did you tune? Can you tune the bass? Can you tune the guitar? Can you, you know? So we have to keep up on our musicians to make sure they play in tune. And also I hear very well when it's not in tune. And there's a lot of people here who have suffered my critiques of pitchiness in here. So they know that that's true, that I definitely hear that well. If you don't hear that well, that is, again, not a crime, but make sure you have someone like me or somebody critiquing you and helping you so that you can make sure that your music is in tune and in time, because that part is not subjective. And again, we need to make sure that our songs are this fabulous to pitch them. Our master recordings they have to almost be better for sync than something on the radio, because we are replacing songs that they can't afford. So if they come to us for a song, our song has to be amazing. And we have to be the right singer for the song too, right? I sound like I'm 12. I am not the right singer for most things. If I'm doing a Disney song, yeah, I'm good, or Mattel. So, you know, if someone wants Aretha Franklin, they're not going to want my voice. I'm going to have to get a singer and hire a singer to do that. So we have to be really careful that we are the right voices also for our recordings. So I think I covered a lot of stuff here. Yeah, Brianna? And
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah, so we do have a few questions.
Great.
And I'm going to just read them out to you, okay?
Cool.
So this would be a good time if you have any questions regarding optimum styles of songs for licensing or anything that Michelle just chatted on, to put your questions in the chat on this particular topic. You can go ahead and do that. And we'll get to a few questions before she moves on to her next topic. So the first question we had is from Jennifer, and she is saying, you know, that she's not a jingle writer per se, but is there still a market for people who do that?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so it doesn't really relate to this, but that's totally fine. So yes, there are still jingles being written, and if you watch TV, you'll hear them. There's actual real jingles that are written. It's not as common these days because a lot of times just pop music is used in an ad. And of course, remember, there's another reason why we want to write happy songs, because an ad is selling something. And like when you look at Pharrell's Happy, it's like in a million ads, right? Huge hit song. When you look at a hit song like Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, equally huge hit song, never going to be used for an ad. So it has much less use for any kind of synchronization because it's sad, angry, angsty, everything about it is not right. But when you take Pharrell's Happy, right for everything. So that's more what's being used in ads these days, but there are still real jingles that are written and created and people hired to create them. And I personally love them. So yeah, so if you create those, definitely there's a market for it.
Awesome. Jessica asks, is it true that with TV cues, they want ABA form, and in video games, generally speaking, they want AB so that it can loop easily into the game?
No, I've never heard that at all. That's absolutely not true. Songs can be written in mostly ABC form because you definitely want to have a bridge. And that I've never seen a rule of that nature, and actually this is the first time that's been brought to my attention. There really is no rule for that at all. I mean, the more where it exists as a rule is in orchestral trailer music. where there is specific spots where the tempo should change, the instrumentation should change, the feel and the mood should change. Yes, for that instrumental trailer music, but when songs are used in trailers or songs are used in video games or ads, no, they don't care about that.
Okay, great. Next question is, how important is it to generate a catalog that does not only include full songs, but self-contained cues out of each song of different durations and mixes?
Okay, so I get it. So first of all, full songs are key in your catalog. If you're writing short cues, those are things you want to throw in a music library that uses instrumental cues. That's really not something that's going to build your own personal catalog for, let's say, the value of your catalog. But there are many, many music libraries out there that do deal in cues, instrumental cues. And if you make those, you can definitely, if you have maybe 50, 100 of them, get a music library to take them on as a grouping and make money that way and create your art that way. Yes, but building your own catalog, you want full songs, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. If it's vocal music, you want lyric, melody. If it's instrumental music, kind of the same thing. Really good for music library, not very good for direct pitching, because music supervisors want vocal songs. And if you're pitching for an artist, to an A&R person or a manager, they want vocal songs. But music editors use instrumental songs all the time, but they're usually from a quick source, or else they're because they licensed my vocal song and they used the instrumental cut interspersed with it where there was too much dialogue in the scene and they didn't want a vocal at that point. So you should always have an instrumental version of your vocal song, but not really catalog building to have like 10-second and 2-second and 20-second cues. No, not really.
Okay, and then there was just sort of a little note here that I think pertained to this. It says maybe they mean making 8 30 60s mixes.
Oh, so if you mean making cut downs from yours, to be honest with you, this is what I tell everybody. If you have time to do that, is somebody unmuted? Let's keep muted. If you have time to do that, then go for it. I don't do that because first of all, I have my own studio, and if I need to do that, I can just run in and, you know, make some cut downs. So it's easy for me. But if you don't have your own studio and you are relying on an outside producer, you could ask for those, sure. But what has happened in my career has been that in 5,000 placements, no one has asked me for that. No one has asked me for a cut down. When they want to cut it down, they do it themselves. They might ask me for full stems, which they rarely do as well, and then cut those down. The only time I really get asked to make 60s and 30s and 15s and 10s and all those cut downs is when I do a commission for a music library, because they want to save themselves the work, because they're using a lot of those in their library, short cues, as we were discussing in the library. And so they will ask me to make those for them with delivery. My whole delivery might include, but one music library I work for, that's a huge one, does it themselves. They like to pick and choose which part of the 30 seconds of the song they want as the cut down. So if that answers the question in general, I don't usually get requested for them or make them just because.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So next question would be, other than LinkedIn and IMDb Pro, what are some effective ways of connecting with Music Suit?
Okay, so we're going to get to that. That's one of our topics today, so we won't answer that right now.
Yep, that's good. How often would a supervisor indicate that they prefer a different vocal, or do they just pass?
They usually just pass. Usually just pass. On a rare occasion, I've been asked for a different vocal, or for instance, right now I'm casting an ad and producing a song for an ad, and I was asked to find 10 singers to audition the song and record it. They wanted to hear 10 different voices to choose one. So they were doing that first. you know, so that way they don't have to, you know, come back and say, oh, I need a different voice. So we're actually doing 10 pieces. So that happens on occasion. But when I submit a song, it's very rare they'll want to change the voice out. They usually just want it as is. But never say never. I mean, that can happen. It has happened, but it's very, very rare. You know, that's why we really want to cast the right singer to really sell the song and emote the song and you know, make our vision well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Another question would be, how does one join Sync? Seems like everything is behind a paywall. Is there any demo drops or ways to get an agent?
I think we're going to answer something of that in a while. Yeah, I don't really understand the whole question,
okay.
but yeah, but I think we were going to get to some of that.
Okay, Jenny wants to know, do you produce your own songs, engineering, mixing, arranging, etc.?
Yes, I do. And I work with my husband, who's an engineer. So I produce everything, arrange everything, run the vocal sessions, all the musicians, I arrange all the instruments and everything, but my husband engineers the mix. So I'm there though, and I pay attention as the producer to every last drum beat and every last note in the song. But so yes, so I'm the producer and arranger, but I'm not a great engineer. My engineering skills are good for doing vocals, recording a live instrument session, but they're not good for adding reverb, side chains, effects, things of that nature. So I do have my husband engineering and sometimes other people engineering if he's not available, but he's usually available. And he's a famous engineer, so I'm spoiled.
Okay, so we have one more question that pertains to this topic, and then we're going to move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Dave wants to know, he has a question about subgenres of electronic music. Is there a genre within EDM that works better than others? For example, house, trap, drum and bass, etc.
No. Music supervisors want different things. And also, to be honest with you, like I said, we have Jess here who's an expert, but most of the music supervisors don't know the difference. They're going to know it when they hear it. And the music supervisor's job is to serve. Our job as music songwriters is to serve, and their job is to serve the production. And most of the time, the producers and directors are not going to know that, and they're going to wait to hear what they want. There might be a really savvy director or producer or showrunner or music supervisor who is very, very specific. And when they're going to tell you. But there really isn't one that works better than the other, just happenstance as a general rule. No, just up-tempo and happy is very key.
Awesome. Okay, great. So lots of questions here, and we're going to continue on because we're going to get to these questions in her next training point. So you want to dive into number 2?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Brianna. So number 2 that Brianna has created is how to make connections so you can position yourself with more opportunities. And that was sort of like the question that was just answered a second ago. So I'm just going to talk on this. I don't have a lot of notes because making connections is so important, but making connections can be made everywhere. There are opportunities everywhere. So just like that question just asked, the basics for maybe synchronization are using IMDb, but really the pro version, the International Movie Database it is, imdb.com, but you really want to buy the pro version subscription because it's much easier to use. It gives you contact information. The free version leaves a lot of stuff out and has a lot of ads, and it's just not very useful. So you definitely want to have that. There's also a film and TV guide where they list every music supervisor's email addresses, phone numbers, addresses, everything. I mean, you can buy it. You can also go online like I do when I can't find somebody in these resources and use the internet. I mean, look, in my day when I started out, there was no internet. I mean, nobody can even imagine that anymore, but it's so easy. Just use Google search, try to find things. Who's the music supervisor on This Is Us. Just type it in the search box. You know, it's so easy to find people. Everybody's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite tool. Everybody's on LinkedIn for business. And like sometimes people get irritated on Facebook if you write them for business, but LinkedIn is for business. Everybody's there doing business. It's awesome. But also you can go to Facebook. Also, if you go to, I don't use Instagram and Twitter, much to Brianna's dismay, but on people, famous people are on their own Instagram. I mean, Lizzo handles her own Instagram. I mean, you can go talk to her there. I mean, there's so many ways to meet people and connect with them. So I suggest using your common sense and getting all your synapses connecting and to make these connections, which are so, so important. Also, always be happy, always be positive, always be pleasant, and you'll be on the supermarket line and someone might be making a movie next to you. I have in public hot tubs been hired 4 times in the last 5 years. One to music supervise and create all the songs for a feature film. I've been hired to do ads. I was hired to be on a team to name a new startup, because since I was a songwriter and a creative, the doctor who had the startup thought I would be great on his team to bring a creative in to name it. I mean, it's amazing what opportunities are out there for creatives if we're just open to talking to people. And you know, maybe your next door neighbor all of a sudden needs music it's called a micro sync for a bar mitzvah, and he's going to come to you, and one just has to be open. So these are where opportunities come. Opportunities come from absolutely everywhere. And we can't only just think the obvious, oh, we have to get to that music supervisor. Oh, I want Kelly Clarkson to cut my song. I have to get to her A&R person. No, not necessarily. You know, you could be again in a restaurant and overhear a conversation that somebody lives next door to Kelly. And if you're bold enough, you can go, hi. You know, I mean, and when people are in good moods, they help each other all the time. So I think this is really, really important, is to remember that. Now, as for those particular, for synchronization or for pitching, there's also an A&R guide that the same company, the Music Business Registry, puts out the Film and TV Guide. And in the A&R guide, they have every A&R person listed. But of course, the A&R guide gets updated 4 times a year, because A&R people are not very stable and are always losing their jobs. So they're switching musical chairs all the time. So there's, you know, they update that a lot. So if you're going to subscribe to that, you really don't want to just get one issue. You want to get the subscription, because, you know, you want to be up on who you're pitching to. And now, how do we find out who is Kelly Clarkson's A&R person? Go online. It's listed everywhere. You know, if you go to allmusic.com or Discdogs, a lot of times it's going to tell you who those people are who are on the credits of her album. You have to just use common sense. If you want to know who the music supervisor is for Grey's Anatomy, just Google it. Or use IMDb, like we were mentioning, IMDb Pro, and just look it up. Look up the show and go to the music. These, you know, and now you found out the person's name. Now go to the Film and TV Guide. Oh, there's their email address. How happy, you know? So it's not so much of a mystery as we all think where these people are and how to connect with them. So let's take questions on this, because I'm being very broad, and I'm sure that there's some really great specific questions.
So I'm giggling because I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm not sure if it's Gina or Jenna Gladstone. She says, if you want to focus more on music and for advertising, do you still recommend IMDb Pro and Film and TV Guide, which you just talked about? So I think you just got your question answered there.
No, yes and no. So,
okay.
So the Film and TV Guide does list advertising agencies, but IMDb Pro does not list ads. If you want to hear the music that are on ads, you want to go to iSpot.tv. If you want to find the ad people, you really want to go to LinkedIn, because if you know, say that the company Ogilvy and Mayer it does ads, which they do, you just go to LinkedIn and type in the name of the company, and then it'll come up and it'll say there are 25 people who work there here. And then you can look at who works there and see who's working on music at Gray, at all the ad agencies. So you definitely want to use LinkedIn as more of a resource. You can also use a Google search as a resource. It's a little trickier, but they're all there. I probably have 500 or 600 in my database of advertising agency music people. And I recently met 2 at the Fairmont in Santa Monica in the hot tub, because a lot of them stay there when they're doing ads. And they live in Seattle, but they were big music people in ads. So, and I met another woman who works at a company called, I think, Mom and Pop in the UK in the sauna. So that's all I'm saying is, you gotta be creative about finding these people. But really, the Film and TV Guide has that. And I will also say that concentrating only on ads, I personally don't recommend, because again, first of all, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Second of all, you are not building a valuable catalog with ads. Yeah, you're gonna grab some cash up front, some bigger cash than a film or TV placement, yes. But my first placements from 1987 still air on TV. And I still, right, all these years later, is it over 35 years later, get income, royalty income from those placements and all my placements. Whereas my ads, I don't get any royalties. I got the upfront money and then it was over, and they do not come to help create value for my catalog at all. They're just a nice calling card, and they're nice to put on my credit sheet. And they did afford me some cash, so I was able to hire some more musicians and singers and make some more songs. So that's why I'm talking about diversifying. I would definitely suggest that you do both, that you do it all, that you don't only concentrate on ads and then have no catalog. So up to you, of course, because up front the money is good. But that's just my thoughts on that.
Okay, a couple of questions on this. Okay, so I'm just sort of shifting through this here. While I sift through this question, Dave wants to know, do cartoons work the same way with music supervisors? I've watched the credits of some shows and it says the composer, but not the supervisor.
Okay, so actually I didn't touch on that. Also, if you want to find out who a music supervisor is, it's often great to look on the credits, and you often will find them there at the end, and not at the top credits, but at the end. But as far as animation goes, it's pretty much the same. Many music supervisors who do live action also do animation. But sometimes on some shows, there is no music supervisor on live action or animation. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes the showrunner handles it, the producer handles it. So like at Disney, there is a music supervisors for that. At Nickelodeon, pretty much every animated show does have someone overseeing the music department who's involved with that. I worked on King of the Hill a lot when it was on, and the producer of the show, one of the producers, handled the music. So there was no music supervisor. So sometimes you have to be a little savvy with your looking around too. If you don't see a music supervisor listed for something and you go to IMDb, you can start contacting the producers. For instance, things like live shows like Kelly Clarkson's or Ellen DeGeneres' shows, or those kind of shows, sometimes don't have music supervisors. The late night shows, sometimes a producer or a post-production producer handles that. So it's the same with animation, except animation, most of the time the music is done in the beginning, because the characters are usually either singing the song or the animation is being done around the music. So it's a case where the music comes first. So, and often the music is written specifically for it. Not always, but often. But yes, I hope that's a little roundabout answer, but there are music supervisors or producers that work on the animated shows as well. And in
Okay.
fact, just let me backtrack. Last week, the Guild of Music Supervisors, GMS, had a great webinar on music and in animation, and I'm sure it's on their website or will be soon to rewatch it.
Great. Okay, so Bonnie was saying she understands that she can learn the actual information, who the supervisors are, who the A&R persons are, etc. But her biggest looks like, you know, roadblock would be the whole no unsolicited material. She feels like that's the reality quite a bit. So
okay, I don't agree with that. First, I'm going to say
okay.
I don't agree with that. And this is what I handheld and teach everyone very specifically how to do in my course. But I don't pay attention. I don't care. The only time I've ever cared, I see people start laughing. The only time I ever care is if someone actually says, "Don't send me songs anymore." But other than that, I'm going to send them music. And sometimes I see from using a disco service or Hightail or something where I can see where they've either downloaded or streamed the songs that they did. Sometimes they don't. But I'm not paying attention. Even when I pitched to A&R people, and back in the day when you sent CDs, I would write on the package solicited material. Even if it was unsolicited, I'd write, so okay, now the mailroom person's like, maybe this is solicited. Maybe I shouldn't trash this. And then I got plenty of major label cuts that way with artists. And I do the same with the music supervisors. You know, my thought process is, we have music, they need music. So as long as we're approaching them in a nice, happy way, then I'm going to keep sending it. And even, I don't know if any of you saw the panel. No, this wasn't on the panel. So this was last week. I did the Springboard music event, but there was like a meet and greet at the end by Zoom, which usually we do in person, but it's a speed dating kind of thing where you get a few minutes with somebody. And I had a music supervisor in the room, and I said, I'm going to say this in front of you, even though you're here. Usually if there's a music supervisor in the room, I might be a little more censored or careful. But I just said, you know what? Life's too short. And I just said, I'm going to send you the music. And until you tell me not to, if you actually tell me not to, I'm not going to do it. And she actually agreed with me. And she said, I like getting music from artists. And she said, I love talking to them. They're much more interesting than the song pluggers and the sync agents and those people. And yeah, send it, right? So she's either going to listen to it or not. So that's why I say, if somebody tells you, if you see on someone's website, they don't accept unsolicited material, well, maybe you never saw their website before you sent it. And how would you know, right? So send it. Just make sure, like I was telling you before, that it's produced and recorded well, because if you do send it and you do get lucky in that moment that they need something and they listen and it's terrible because it's recorded terribly, then you've just burned your bridge. So just make sure that the music is going to be fabulous. So that's my answer to that.
We have a ton of questions regarding pitching, where to send things and how to send things and all these things. And I know that you are about to jump into that as your last point. Mm-hmm. So I'm just doing a quick little review here just to make sure I didn't miss any on this particular networking question. Okay. And then I'm going to have you dive into the next point.
All right. Well, there are lots of questions on it. Let's just go to the questions.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'll just start, with this question.
Because let's just tell them the next topic was how to pitch like a pro, even if you're just getting started.
Yes. So Cynthia and Jacqueline have questions that are kind of similar. So I'm going to ask you Cynthia's question, which is, where can I pitch my Christmas songs? And then Jacqueline says that she's been seeing a lot of composer names instead of supervisors for films. She's especially looking for Christmas movies, and it's packed with composers only. Is that becoming the norm?
Well, where is she
looking? She's talking about IMDb Pro.
Okay, great. So first of all, the key for the Christmas movies is that there are a few soups who do a lot of Christmas movies. They're very easy to find. So you have to do some research. How do you do those research? Hallmark. Look at Hallmark. Hallmark does tons of Christmas movies. So go pull up some movies from last year and find out who the music supervisors are. You can see them there. A lot of them are online. Go to tunefind.com, tunefind.com, and it's going to show you the music that's in every episode or in a film, but it's also going to show you often who the music supervisor is. As for Googling those, searching those Christmas movies on IMDb, again, if you don't find a music supervisor, contact one of the producers or the showrunner or the post-production producer, because usually that music is done in post-production, not done in production, usually that kind of music. I disagree that those music supervisors are not listed. I usually see them listed all the time. But you can also go, who's the music director for Hallmark? Who's the music director for Nickelodeon? Who does Christmas? You know, just search on the internet. You have to learn to research. These things are not handed to us. And this is also what I teach in the course, is how to do this, because we cannot be handed these things. Like if you go to a webinar and there's a music supervisor and you're handed one, that's really terrific. But you're not helping yourself learn how to fish and eat for a lifetime. You're, giving yourself a fish and eating for a day, as the saying goes. So you definitely, those Christmas, first of all, it's very late for Christmas. Christmas is usually July, August, a little September, it's almost October now, a little late for Christmas. So you might get a couple of bites, but you really should have pitched sooner for Christmas and know that for next year to start earlier. But that's all I can tell you is, it's to pitch for a Christmas movie is the same as pitching for anything. And in terms of TV, where there are Christmas episodes, it's not really too early. It's okay for the Christmas episodes of TV shows. And the way to do that is, if you have some network that you've already started compiling, send them the Christmas songs and just say to have handy if you have any Christmas episodes for your show. And that is very useful as well. And then they can keep them around if they want to and store them. And maybe when there's Christmas comes up, they'll use them. So I hope that's helpful. And that's all I can tell you about that kind of stuff. It's all research, and learning how to do it.
Yes. Okay. So I did have one question I missed from the networking. So let me go back to that real quick. Other than LinkedIn and IMDb Pro, what are some effective ways of connecting with music supervisors?
Oh, the same way we were just discussing. You have to go online and research, use Google search. You go to a webinar. If you connect with a music supervisor, right, and you see someone on a webinar even that you want to connect with, make sure you really pay attention to them. Pay attention to what they're saying, what they're working on, what they do. Make sure that you find things about them, right? You don't want to just come in like a house of fire going, I make music, I make music, I make music, hi, 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 hi. You want to be able to relate to them and discuss things they've done. So I really suggest that that's very important as you build your connections, because just like you wouldn't want someone coming to you for something and you have no idea who they are, and they've not said one nice thing about you, about why they're contacting you. They've just gone into themselves. So I think that's optimum for pitching.
Perfect. And then Jesse is a music licensing and sync coordinator. She, I'm not sure, forgive me, Jesse, is trying to make more connections as a music coordinator, getting more syncs with big artists that they represent, and getting more pitches in front of supervisors. I guess she's asking, any tips on that? Because
okay, but that's confusing, because a music coordinator is not a music creator. So I'm confused. Do they want to be a music coordinator? Or do they want
learning to make more connections as a music coordinator, getting more syncs with big artists we represent, and getting more pitches in front of supervisors?
Okay, I'm trying to understand who this person is. Do you mean you're a sync agent because if you're a music coordinator, you're usually working with a music supervisor or on a production and you're doing paperwork. The music coordinator is the person who does all the clearances, the licenses, the paperwork. And so they're not someone who's looking to make connections and pitch songs to somebody. So I'm confused. Maybe they
No.
want, that person wants to type in the chat
So
again.
Jesse says that they rep music, and that he's from I think I saw earlier, he's from some sort of firm that reps music.
And then
so,
he wants to know how to make more connections.
Yeah, that's what it
The
looks
same
like.
way I'm discussing, that you have to get down deep in the trenches. You have to search on IMDb. You have to start compiling a list of people you want to connect with. You have to learn how to make an amazing pitch letter. You have to find things about them to discuss with them when you write to them, not just jump into who you are. And I would also suggest to everybody, on a little bit of a tangent, when you are sending music to people, even when you're posting on social media, right? Don't just post a video with no text. I don't know why you're posting that video on my wall. I don't know why you're sending me a private message with a video. Did you write it? Are you the artist? Is there a reason why you're putting it to me? Do you want me to do something with it? You have to be specific. And people are just like randomly sending me things, and they'll send me an email and it will say music. That is not effective. And then I open it up and there's 20 links to songs with no note, no text. It doesn't tell me what it is, nothing. Or I'm all day long getting pitched this, and I'm not even a music supervisor. Can you imagine what they get? It'll say nothing in the subject, maybe because it was forwarded, or songs, or hi, or nothing. And it'll say, hey, I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a that, here's my music, help me. Okay, there's nothing about me, why are you contacting me? What did I do that you want to get your music to me? You didn't address me by my name. I am not Hey, and I have a name. Don't say hey to people you don't know. It's okay if I go, hey, Brianna. It's not okay if I don't know you. So that's a big issue, right? You didn't ask me how I am. You didn't thank me for my time. You didn't say, hey, I love that you created that music for that promo, and I so want to learn how to do that. You know, maybe there's something I can do for you in exchange if you can help me do this. I do this. You know, I went to your website and I listened to some of your music. There's nothing. So if I'm sending to a music supervisor, I want to be saying, I love them. Hi, dear Jane. Okay, I want to address them by their name. Thank you for your time. I hope this finds you well. I saw that you did so-and-so. I really loved it. It was inspiring. You know, I see that you mentor children with disabilities. How wonderful. You know, we got to get down and deep, and we got to be specific. And does it take a lot of time? Yes. And anybody here, if you've noticed who I've written directly to you, I have written directly to you. So even to market, to get you to come here today, I have spent hundreds of hours writing you personally to you, replying when you write me something back, right? I have been engaging with you because that's who I am. I care. And also because it's not polite any other way for me to be soliciting you without addressing you and giving you some pleasantries. And so that is just part of making connections and networking, and we need to keep building our connections. And you know, like I'm saying, LinkedIn, if you just learn how to research well, which I do teach when there's more time than this, how to do that, you can connect with everybody. One connection can lead you to somebody else. So, you know, I hope that's helpful. I think what I'm trying to say is it all comes down to research. I spend all day researching, and I spend all day pitching people individually. And it takes forever, but it's the only thing that's effective. And if you're going to post things on Facebook and Instagram or wherever you're posting, have text. Tell me what it is. Don't just send me a song. That's not useful at all.
So I'm just going to clarify for Jesse. So I guess he works with Art Ford as a music licensing and sync coordinator. They rep Frank Sinatra, Aerosmith, and Little Richard. And I've tried at the tactics being discussed, but his employer, who owns the company, has always instructed him to reach out to the music supervisor and put promos from our database of artists. They act as the buyer and seller. They have catalogs of artists and create on-demand music as well. So, I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I feel like ultimately it's a long game. You just got to keep pressing. I mean,
I mean, I've known Art for almost like 35 years. I know Art very well forever. What he's asking you to do is just fine. Put that on the bottom, those links. That's fine. But you still have to write a letter. You still have to engage the person personally, specifically. You can't just send them promo links. It's just not useful. There's a couple of other big soups who do that, and it's just not useful. I'm not engaged with that. And I find when I'm marketing that if I'm engaging someone because and then become engaged with them, that, you know, we make friends and we make connection and acquaintances and we start working together. But the other way, if I'm just sending them links and no text and not communicating to them personally, I mean, you know, and also look, you know, Jesse, you know, we're coming from different angles maybe in a way, because like I'm mentoring from the creator. Like I'm not going to have a stumbling block. And actually you're really the same thing. You shouldn't put these stumbling blocks in front of you. You should be engaging people personally. And when that starts working for you, like Brianna says, it's a long game. You're going to impress Art to no end, right? Because you're going to be knowing these people and making friends with them. And Absolutely. They want to know you. You know, you represent a bunch of music. They want to know you.
Absolutely. Okay, so just a little shout out to you, Michelle, from PV. You rock. Best and most direct info I've listened to so far for syncing. PV, you should totally sign up for her master course from Song to Sync, because you'll get more of this, all of this. Okay, so this is from Dennis. You've talked about songs with vocals. What about instrumentals for sync licensing? That is all he does.
Oh, okay. So I mentioned that a little while ago about instrumentals for sync licensing. They're fine, but you really, that is a library game. So there's a couple of people who do that specifically. There's this guy, Jesse Josephson, who that's all he does is make instrumentals for exclusive music libraries. I don't believe in exclusive music libraries for vocal music because I don't want to tie my songs up, but he likes them. You can also do non-exclusive libraries with instrumental music, but really instrumental music is something you need to get in libraries. So I would say diversify them into many, many non-exclusive libraries. Some you have to get permission and they screen the songs first. Some of the libraries you just upload them. In that film and TV guide are listed many, many music libraries, and there's also the music library report, which you can subscribe to, which has a ton of music libraries listed. You can also, again, use our Google friend and search online for music libraries of instrumental music. There are tons of them all over the world, because we're not only licensing, well, I'm not only licensing domestically in the US, we have people here from many countries, and I've had cuts, hits, placements all over the world finding these people and these things. And I did it when there wasn't even an internet. So, you know, it's so much easier now. So you definitely have a market for that instrumental music, and it's wonderful stuff. But it's, again, as I mentioned before, not really something you're going to pitch directly to a music supervisor. They're looking for vocal music with an instrumental version attached. But if you're making strictly instrumental music, you want to diversify into a lot of music libraries.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is from Jacqueline. She's an indie artist with a good-sized catalog that includes music for TV and movies and other songs for ads. For ads, what's the best way to get your song to a brand? It's a female empowerment happiness song. She doesn't know whether she should go through LinkedIn or maybe through an agency is a better way.
All of the above. Yeah, all of the above, like I've been discussing. All of the above. Diversify. If you want to look for the brand, go to LinkedIn and put in Coca-Cola and see who comes up. Right? Look, you're going to take you a few minutes. Like, I really want to write music for Cirque du Soleil. That's one of my things. And I've been making connections. I went to LinkedIn, I Googled Cirque du Soleil, came back 1,000 employees, some marketing, some music, some, you know, choreographers, some whatever. Look, search, then try to connect with them, write them something about them. Try to make a connection with them. So if you want Coca-Cola, if you're looking for Pepsi, if you're looking for Target, you know, you can do it that way. You can also look for, you know, Target advertisements. Go to iSpot.tv. Try to research to find out which ad companies do that, because specific ad companies, Target has an ad agency that works for them. Coca-Cola has a specific music department and ad agency they work with, and you can find that information by researching.
When pitching for an ad, is it better to submit a whole song or the 60-second?
Again, as I said before, always pitch a whole song, always write a whole song. If they want a cut down, they'll ask you, or they'll cut it down themselves. But they want to hear the whole song, because who knows which portion of it is going to appeal to them. And if they like what they hear right at the top, which is why we want to go into the song right away, they might listen through it. And if there's no instrumental section, they might listen all the way through it. And if it's 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes, they'll probably listen through it. And if it's 4 minutes, they might not listen to it. So definitely, you know, be sending the whole song. I would never pitch a 60-second song unless somebody asked me specifically for it.
Great. Next question is,
and thank you for all the nice, every so often I glance over and there's something that's really short and I see something nice, and that's so sweet. Thank you. I just want to say, I'm super honest. You know, I'm from New York, and it gets me in a lot of trouble being this honest, but you know, that's, you know, just how it is.
Totally agree. But that's one thing we love about you. Okay. So this one is, how much of the market is there for Indian influenced vocals in the USA?
Wow, that's so cool. Okay, so that's a niche. So if you mean like Indian, like from India, I have an amazing singer. Is that who's here? Is it Megha who asked the question?
Is. Yeah,
oh my God, she's amazing. Girl,
I'm aware they
if you need a singer,
used as hooks, yeah.
If you need a singer, this girl can sing her butt off, and if you find a little accent in there, she'll fix it. She's amazingly talented. So I just want to say that first. Now,
that's give me,
what did she write again?
She wants to know how much of a market is there for Indian influenced vocals in the US. And she says, I'm aware they're mostly used as hooks. And she's saying, I've also been asked to do vocals with just one brief, Bollywood, but by someone from the US.
All right, so that's such a cool question, because it's not only about Indian based, it's anything that's a little alternative. It's jazz music, Latin music. I have a friend who only has a library of Hawaiian music. I know someone else who does Middle Eastern music. These are great niches, actually, right? Because if you're doing Indian music and there's not much of it, and you develop relationships with the music supervisors here, you are the go-to. Anytime they need Indian Bollywood music, even for an American TV show where they're parodying a Bollywood event, or maybe the characters went to India on a holiday, or whatever it is, you are going to be their go-to person. So any kind of niche that anybody has here, like I was telling, there's somebody here who sees me at SongU, and she has a lot of old school, almost 1950s bluesy kind of stuff in her catalog. That's fantastic. She can be a go-to for that. Lots of shows, films, ads use stuff like that. So we shouldn't discount our little niches. We should build on them, right? Because if we have a catalog of Indian music and have 50 pieces that are influenced, we are such a huge go-to for that person. Like, my catalog is a little hard to manage. I have over 1,000 pieces in like 40 different genres, you know? But if I had 1,000 pieces in one genre, you know, I wouldn't get some of the syncs and some of the placements and stuff I get, but I'd be the go-to. Just like that's my bird. Just like my Hawaiian friend is. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me close her. She's going to start screaming. She's jealous.
Okay, so while she's chatting or while she's taking care of her lovely bird, we have a couple of other questions here, and more people that are joining us. Look, we are like an hour and 15 minutes, and people are still coming
Sorry
to join
about
the
that.
party. Isn't
I
that
have a
great?
big white cockatoo. She's very noisy. Sorry.
No, you're good. So we're gonna get to the rest of these questions, but we
Yeah.
want to break for 2 seconds to just jump into your song, because a lot of this stuff that we're covering today is also, again, this is high level stuff. Michelle can only answer so many questions like in this short amount of time. She dives into this really, really deep into her master course, From Song to Sync. So real quick, I would love for you to just tell them a little bit about Song to Sync so that they can know whether that's a good fit for them and how they can talk to you and get involved in it. And then I would
Okay.
love to share a couple of testimonies. You just had a graduating class of just major success. Like, they saw some really great success with you. So I just want to share a couple of little things that they said, because they really had an incredible experience with you, and you made some huge changes in their music careers. So
Thank you. I'm so excited about that. So please do. They were amazing. I had the best class. Everybody made friends with each other. Everybody networked with each other, helped each other. And they are all pitching and all expanding their catalogs and all making connections with the soups. And I taught them how to do everything, holding their hands. And it's exciting. Yeah. So if you wanted to share something, Brianna, that's awesome.
yeah, no, absolutely. So well, Jenna or Gina, sorry, girl. When will the courses or classes be held, like day and time? Have you defined that yet? Because usually you kind of get the group together and decide what's best for everyone's time.
Right, exactly. So right now it's either going to be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday between noon and 4 p.m. start time PST. So my current class that just finished, we met Wednesdays at 4 p.m. PST, which is 7 p.m. EST. But it's going to depend on who is in the class and their time zones. I ended up with 8 time zones in my last class. So I have to coordinate a little bit. A few people who have already signed up and paid have, specific issues where they can't do this day, this time because they're doing this and that. So I'm working very hard within those 3 days, those time periods, to narrow down. And so it will either start September 30th, October 1st, or October 2nd, next week, one of those dates, and in that time range. Because if someone from the UK joins, then at noon it's already 9 p.m. for them. But if it stays all North America, then I might keep it at 4 p.m. So I'm just waiting to see. And there's also a live weekly office hour. So we're basically on Zoom together twice during the week.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also, just so you guys know, I'm popping the link to the course, all the information in the chat as well. So if you guys want to enroll or get more information or even connect, like if you have questions, you need to email Michelle. She is so gracious with her time. As you can tell, we're here, an hour and 20 minutes in, and she's still taking questions. So she's so gracious with her time. You can definitely email her. Her email address is right there on her Zoom screen. So you can see her AOL address right there. And so just keep in mind that you can do that. I want to just say, a couple of takeaways. So we had asked a lot of people in the class, your last class, what was your biggest takeaway from the course? Like, that took you from, where you were before to where you are now. And so we have Sakela, who said her biggest takeaway was learning the business and all the ways to collect royalties. Many of my friends make music, but 99% of them don't even have a PRO. They believe the only way to make money is from Spotify or get a record deal from the labels. We have Patricia, who said that her biggest takeaway is that she's now competent to create and run a business. Before this class, she only had the bits and pieces of random knowledge, which ended up being more confusing than helpful. So from very granular to the widest lens, Patricia now has a workable blueprint to apply to finding homes for her songs, and it's a dream come true. So she's really appreciative of your passion and generosity of spirit, Michelle. And then, of course, I love this. This was probably one of my favorites. So King Fernand Is that how you say his name?
Ferdinand. Yeah, King
Yeah.
Ferdinand.
My biggest takeaway is that this class decreased the opportunity for confusion. It clarified how to open up a new income stream for my music, different ways that music are listed in shows, and gave me a great understanding of contracts and agreements, song recitals, overall paving the way for me to become more effective as an entrepreneur in music. And Michelle is top notch. I don't see you waving any magic wands, but you're giving us tangible work that can be done. And at the end of the day, if you're ready to do the work, then it's a great fit for you. So, and then lastly, Shakez said Michelle has a no-nonsense, step-by-step guide to getting your music out there in the world to generate income, to make money. It's not easy. It's not instant, but with great music, hard work, and being able to see and how to connect and create opportunities with your content, she now sees that it's possible. So those are just some really incredible takeaways. And I know that you are so passionate about your students and you are so loyal and dedicated to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's one huge thing that I know about you, but I wanted to share with this group.
Thank you. Well, yeah, my students are amazing. Shakez, the last person, she is just connecting like every day, like 100 people. She's just like, boom, 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 boom. I met this person. I met this person. I called this person. I talked to that person. She has taken the course and the information and just, she's amazing. She even placed 2 of my songs in a film. I mean, because she doesn't, her catalog, unfortunately, isn't as big as it could be, but her connecting is amazing. So yeah, the one thing I would say is the reason why I started doing the course, and it's not something I may even keep doing because I've been getting so much like work lately. I'm swamped in requests and for music. But the reason why I'm doing it's like the COVID special is because I really am watching all these webinars and everybody's going to all these events. And in the days when we went to live events, people are just getting and ingesting all this information that we're even discussing today, but they don't know what to do with it because they're not step-by-step applying it. They're just overwhelmed in information and still really not able to do it. And some in my class took other courses where they learned to collaborate and write songs or produce some stuff, but they still didn't learn about music publishing. We have to know about music publishing to do this well. I mean, you know, they took a class for months and came out not knowing what a sync and a master is. And if you don't know or what a writer's share is or what a publisher's share is, or even what a publisher really does, or somebody thought that last week, 3 people thought that BMI was their publisher. And these are things that I discuss in my course. I'm trying to teach everyone the vocabulary and the lingo of music publishing in addition to how to pitch, because if you don't know all these things about music publishing, you can't effectively and efficiently pitch. Because even one day I came to my class and said, this is what the music supervisor just asked me, and can you all answer these questions? And they all could, but they couldn't 4 weeks earlier. The questions were, what is pre-cleared? What is all in? What is one stop? All these questions that I was asked by the music supervisor in one little email. So if we don't know all this lingo and this information, we're going to fall on our face, right? So that's why I created the course, and I really hold everyone's hands. I help with the music they're creating. I help with learning to pitch, with finding information, learning about pitching to artists as well, learning about what record labels really do, learning all the stuff that's necessary that I've acquired in the School of Hard Knocks so that you don't have to. And I'm excited about my first class because they are rocking it. They just, you know, if one gets out of anything what they pay attention to, right? So I think that's key. And yeah, so anything else you want to add, Brianna? I'm just in love with doing it.
Yeah, well, I would like to add that this is going to be the last class for a while. You know, you had your spring class, you're going to do your fall class, and then, you know, you might wait until next fall. So if this is something that you're serious about and you're ready to get like real tangible knowledge that's actually going to help you in your music career, then I just want to encourage you to invest in yourself and get support from someone who's been doing this for how many years? 30,
41 years.
There you go.
41 years. Yeah. So I'm 41 years in. My book is called Lifer. I'm a lifer in this stuff. And
Absolutely.
I love creating music, which I do every day. Like Brianna said, I'm still creating, pitching every day. I'm not like just teaching and not involved anymore. So I know when new things change, all the changes that are going on, especially with metadata and all these new things we have to do, right? But I love the business, and I love encouraging creatives. And in my class right now, and not only creatives, I actually have the former VP of CSAC, the PRO, in my class. He's building a music library. I have a manager of hip hop artists. I have a music attorney who wants to add more about music licensing to her repertoire. And I had an advertising agency owner who built a music distribution service who wanted to add licensing and synchronization to that. So it's not only just creators that were in the class. That was very fun for all the creators too, to have people who weren't creators in the class. But it's definitely, I want to help you all learn to love the business side, because the business side is sexy too. Even if people think I'm, yuck, music business, but it's not music art we're doing here. It's music business. We're trying to, earn our livings, making our beautiful music that we love so much, right? Music is my air. It's everything I do and live and breathe. But I'm always so frustrated and sad for the musicians who don't know anything about the business and the disservice that they're doing, and getting in their own way because of it, and not being positive. And yeah, so I say a lot of the class too is motivating, keeping everybody excited and motivated to, one person who's in my class, Patricia's taking it again. She loves the camaraderie so much and the motivation of it. So
that's right. And also the networking. The networking piece is really, really critical, because as you were saying, this group who just graduated, they're all going to keep in touch. Like they have their little private Facebook group that they're super passionate about, and they're all networking with one another. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to connect with other, not just creatives, as Michelle says, but also music business professionals. And I just want to really quickly give a shout out to, I think is it Gail, or I think it's Gail, Gael, Gael. She was at Springboard with us. McGregor.
Yeah, hi Gail. Yeah.
Hi guys.
She says, you need to know the business side of the biz if you want to be effective in your interactions with Music Soups. We will go somewhere else if it's going to require too much hand-holding with someone who doesn't have a clue. So I love that Gail put this in here, because, that's exactly what you're preparing them for. You're positioning them for success with someone like Gail. And Gail, she's a fellow mentor at Springboard Music Festival. She has been really active in the chat. So Gail, thanks so much again for all the feedback you've been putting in there too.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't been monitoring the chat really, but thank you. I'll go read the chat later. But thank
Awesome.
you so much.
So
should we answer any more questions?
Yep, I'm going to dive into some more questions. And people were asking questions about the price. I will say one last thing. The price will go up at midnight tonight. Today is the last chance that you're going to get it at the current pre-enrollment price. And enrollment closes this weekend. So you're going to be taking last people Sunday night. Is that correct, Michelle?
Last people the 28th, or whatever day that is.
The 28th.
That's
awesome.
That's
so that's Monday.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
because of the Jewish holiday, we extended. Yeah.
That's right. So lastly, just know that this will be your last night or your last day to get it at the current price. And again, I'm putting the link right there so that you can check it out for yourself and get in the course before it fills up, because it will.
Yeah, it will fill up just like today did. Yeah, this, I can't have that many people because I want to be able to hold your hands and see you all on one screen. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to dive into a few more questions and then we're going to wrap this up. So this is a question from, I think, Neil. Do you have any advice for getting commissioned for cover songs?
Commission? You mean, like if someone hired me on a commission to make songs and paid me to create cover songs for like a music library. Is that what you're asking?
I will, he says yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So yeah, for sure. I mean, like I work with some music libraries that I've been commissioned for all kinds of songs, country, pop, you know, EDM, just all kinds of stuff. And yeah, they pay me. Then it's work for hire and they own the songs. And yeah, they do Christmas ones as well, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so next question is going to be from Audrey. If we're pitching a song, what's the best information to include in our pitch and any ideal subject lines?
Ideal subject lines really vary. So I always suggest if somebody's new, to be honest and really put right in that subject line, song for Grey's Anatomy. Well, hi Jane. You want to make sure in your subject line you put their name, right? You also want to be pitching from disco using a disco email these days because that's what people want. I'm not saying it's the best, not the best. It doesn't really matter. Where our mission is to serve the people we're pitching. And so we have to do it the way they want it. And 90% of them want disco. So, but regardless, you get the disco plan. It's like the plus pricing plan. And in that one, you can actually, have a subject line, and so just like an email. And so you want to say, hi, Jan. And I would say, song for Grey's Anatomy from new songwriter who's never had a placement before, maybe. And then you want to put something in the email after you've talked about them that says, I so believe in this song for Grey's Anatomy, and I'm so excited to pitch it to you. I've never had synced a song before. Tell them something real and honest. And so a lot of times they want to discover a new person. Like I was saying before earlier, they all want to discover something new. So if Gail, who just was speaking, discovers a new songwriter, a new artist, it's fabulous. She's like a hero. She plays this thing, and now she can tell her other soup friends, because they're all friends with each other, that look what I discovered. And just make sure that whatever you put in your subject line is something that would make you want to open the email. Don't put in your subject line songs without addressing them by name. Don't put in your subject line music. Get as specific as the subject line will hold so that you're enticing them to read it. And the same with the email. Again, it's so important. Pleasantries are so important. And nobody says please anymore. Nobody says thank you. No one thanks anyone for their time. No one does any research about anybody else. People are all me, and that is not going to get you anywhere. So I hope that answers that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question, have you had the same song licensed in an ad as well as a TV show, or is the ad song just for the ad?
Oh yeah, most ads are non-exclusive but they're sometimes exclusive for a period of time. So let's say you have a song in a Coke ad, they might make it exclusive for a year, but the song might have already been in something else, and maybe they just made it exclusive for sodas and beverages and not for blue jeans. So yeah, so if something is non-exclusive, it can be used anywhere. I've had a couple of songs that have been placed over 40 times, each song, the same song, just on and on and on in different projects, films, TV, ads, trailers, the same song. So yeah.
Okay, this is from Dave. What's your opinion on sites like Songtradr or MusicSupervisor.com?
Okay, those two are totally different from each other.
Okay.
So let me start with Songtradr. Songtradr to me is a pay for pitching service, which I don't like at all, don't agree with. They put up briefs, and by the time you get to the brief, it's over. They don't need the song anymore. To me, that is a waste of money, a waste of time. One person told me they like it because they write to the brief knowing it's a fake brief and just it gives them some idea to have a new song. But you can do that in any other way. That it's just insane to be doing that and paying for that. I also don't like BroadJam, Music Gorilla, and there's Taxi. Any of those things that are pay to pitch, I personally don't believe in. I think that is absolutely wrong. And it's fine to pay for critique. for song critique. It's fine to pay for coaching, a coach like Brianna. It's for, or me in a course, fine to pay for a course, but to pay to pitch a song goes against what I believe in. And people will spend their last $5 trying to pitch to Songtradr, and it's just false hope. So that's how I feel about that. Now, MusicSupervisor.com is completely different service. MusicSupervisor.com, the regular service, they do have a little paid extra thing, but the regular service is a library. It's a music library. You give them, you upload your songs for free. I know someone last week got a placement from MusicSupervisor.com. I have songs up there. You put them up there. The only problem with MusicSupervisor.com is the metadata is endless for each song that you have to put on it. But the conference that we were just discussing, Brianna and I, Springboard, is actually run and owned by Barry Coffing, who owns MusicSupervisor.com, and he's a great guy. He takes no back end. He's only taking front end like a sync agent. And MusicSupervisor.com is really wonderful. But again, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you're only using MusicSupervisor.com, you might get a placement once every 3 years, you know? So we definitely want to keep diversifying.
Awesome. When there's a specific film project that you have music that you feel would fit, I know you're going to say here, fit perfectly for, but there's still not a music supervisor attached, who would be the next in line to try and get in touch with? Would it be the director or the executive producers, or maybe someone else? Okay,
so I just did discuss this before, but we'll discuss quickly again. If you cannot see a music supervisor attached, on a film, you would be looking to the producers, usually not the executive producer, because the executive producer is the money guy, the money person. The executive producer is usually funding the project, not the creative person. So you're going to look for other producers on there, or the post-production supervisor or producer, who's a very important piece of the equation, and you'll try to reach those producers. Now, I'm sorry, and also the director on a film. Definitely the director, being a creative person, you could definitely be contacting the director. On a TV show, directors are usually just for the episode. Like, directors come and go on TV shows. Most TV shows don't have a set director that works on the whole series. So you definitely don't want to be pitching to the director. That's a waste of your time. You know, but you also there want to be pitching to the producers, to the showrunner, to the post-production supervisor. And first, though, you want to find the music supervisor. That's the most optimum person to find for songs. Now, if you're a composer, you want to go straight to the producer, because most music supervisors are not involved with the composers. So basically, I hope that does clear that question up.
Yes, it does. So you mentioned Taxi. Cynthia was asking, is Taxi worth joining? It says Taxi, and then it says A&R worth joining.
No, as I said, to me,
or Songtown, those are all the same.
To me, they're all paid to pitch. If anything is going to charge you a dollar amount to pitch a song to something, they are not worth it. Yes, not worth it. If you're just buying a publication like A&R to read their articles, that's okay. But if you're using it as a service to pitch songs, that is just not optimum, and a bit of a waste of time, not teaching you how to do it, not networking at all, and the chances of getting a placement that way are teeny weeny.
So Summer wants to know, once you have a contact, what is the best way to share your music? SoundCloud, website, WeTransfer, etc. And do you
I just answered that question. Disco.
Okay. Disco. Summer.
Yes, that's what everybody wants. Unless they come to you and say, I don't like disco, send me Dropbox. I don't like that, so put it on SoundCloud. If they ask you for something specific, I do have music supervisors in my database who only want still an MP3 and an email, which nobody wants. So, you know, but first, if you don't want to know them and you're cold pitching, send an email, a disco email, not a link, a disco email.
And then her follow-up to that was, do you ask what they are working on first, or just send your best material?
Okay, never ask them what they're working on. That's why we're researching. That really upsets them and pisses them off to no end. They want you to do some research and at least look on their IMDb or look online and come back to them and say, oh, wow, you're the music supervisor of The Bold and the Beautiful. How cool. You know, they want you to know what they do. You know, you should be, again, writing something about them. And the interesting thing about these questions is that even though when I tell people this over and over and over, they still ask the same questions. So it's almost like people are looking for an easy way out, or the chance opportunity that all this research and stuff is not necessary. But it is all so necessary.
Okay, great. From Sharon, Michelle, on IMDb Pro, in search of movies that are in pre, post, which production, pre or post, gives, like, which production stage gives the best chance for consideration with the pitch?
Okay, also I answered this before, but we'll answer it again. Post-production. So for most films, post-production. For animation, pre-production. If something is filming, they might still be looking for music already as well. But once something is in post-production, you really should look on IMDb to see the release date, because even though it says it's in post-production, if it says it's today is September 22nd, then it says the release date is October 1st, we know the film is done, right? Also, for the same with TV shows, you want to be looking, did the TV show get, is the TV show still in existence? Did it air, did the episode air, 8 air September 20th? Because then the season's over. You need to check to make sure very carefully where you're at, but that's basically where it is. Post-production for music that's in live action, that's not on camera. But if something's going to be on camera, then they do it very early on. Like I had 2 songs in High School Musical that were karaoke live performance not too long ago, and they already licensed those songs maybe 8 months before it aired because they had to film it. So, you know, sometimes that happens as well. But definitely post-production the best time.
Great. Summer also wants to know, do you often negotiate your own sync deals or use an attorney, manager, or licensing company to help?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, and that's why I teach the course. I negotiate everything myself, and there is pretty much no negotiation. They come to me, they show me the license, but I teach everyone how to read the license, what's supposed to be in that license, what's important, and then they come to me, and usually they offer me a dollar amount. They don't often ask me to negotiate. They did 20 years ago, but now pretty much never. They might come to me and ask me to quote an amount, but when they ask me to quote an amount, if the quote request will actually say, we have $2,000. And then I'm putting in the quote amount $2,000. So even though they're asking me to quote, they're telling me how much they have. So it's pretty much, they are always telling me how much they have. I don't use an attorney, a manager, anybody to do those licenses because I know how to read them, and they're 2 pages. Those sync licenses are very easy to start learning to understand and read. Sync master licenses, they're very, very short. It's the same thing when you do a mechanical license with a record label. They're like 2 pages. There's nothing that needs to be negotiated there, or really, you know, you need to pay an attorney for. As long as you learn what's in there, that's important.
Yeah, no problem. Good. Okay, so we are wrapping up here. So if you have any further questions, I have a couple more that I'm going to hit, and then we are, you know, rounding out the 2-hour mark over here, and we still have a huge group here. So guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I hope this was valuable to you. Something tells me that it was. And so Ben wants to know, do you recommend that a non-US artist joins a US or British PRO?
Well, you certainly can do that. So it depends, you know, which PRO you're a member of. I mean, if you're in Spain and you're a member of SGAE, you definitely don't want to be there. So it depends, you know, what country you're in and why you think it would benefit you further to be a member of a US PRO. I mean, if you're, the problem that could happen for you is it takes you longer to get paid, because since your country is paying you at their source and paying you directly, if you are in Germany, you might get paid faster from your PRO. So that really depends. But if it's a country like Spain where they have so much corruption with the PRO, you might not want to be a member there. You might want to join an American PRO.
Okay. Someone wants to know, I know you typically only send one song at a time when you're pitching. Do you include only the vocal version, or do you also include the link to the instrumental?
A great question. Okay, when I'm pitching personally, I mean, maybe this person has heard me speak. When I'm pitching personally, if it's a cold pitch, I send one song. But if I know someone, they're usually asking me to send them. One person is always saying, you know, send me 100 songs. Don't send me one song. I need songs, right? So it depends if I have a relationship with someone and I know what they want or that I can send more. But if I'm cold pitching somebody, yes, probably going to only send them one song. And I don't include the instrumental versions personally at that first initial pitch unless I know that they want them. So I keep in my database, which I use Excel. You can use whatever you like. One of my students uses a 3-ring binder, the one who's getting all the placements. She's handwriting it. But I keep in my Excel, you know, what people's little problems are. This one wants Dropbox, doesn't want disco. This one needs the instrumental. This one needs the lyric. This one only wants it this way. So I'm you know, taking notes of people. The only time they really tell you is it's an issue is if they ask you. So I know which music supervisors I pitch to who want the instrumental version at the same time because I make a note. But if I don't, in general, no, I just send them the vocal version up front, knowing that if they really want to use the song, they're going to get in contact with me. They're going to want a wave, you know, to place in the final production, and they're going to want the instrumental, and they're going to ask me for it. So that's my suggestion in that sense. And plus, the cool part is, if they want the instrumental version, they make contact with you, and then you had an extra reason to talk to them, which is so yummy. Right? Like I don't include lyrics either up front because I want them to come to me if they need the lyric sheet so that I say hi. I get an opportunity to interact with them, and that's really nice. And I know that they like it or they wouldn't be coming to me.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is from Jennifer. Is there a way to systematically find what agencies best suit your needs, insofar as what each of us does? So if it's worth researching that agency, and if, say we do pop and they have tons, then maybe we need to pivot and look for an agency that does more of what we do. So they're talking about sync agencies.
Yeah, so in other music libraries, really, not sync agencies. You would call that a music library. But yeah, for sure, you would call a sync agent, you know, a sync agent. But the agencies are really libraries. But yes. So that's a great question. And it works both ways, exactly how she's thinking. I mean, you know, you got it right? Sometimes you want to be there because they have lots of pop. So when people need pop, they're going to go there. But sometimes, you know, you might want to go somewhere else where you see a lack of it because then you stand out. In my humble opinion, you do both, right? Because as we were discussing, we're doing I believe non-exclusive. The only time I do anything exclusive is if they pay me. So when I do a paid commission, I love that, right? They pay me up front, cash, yay. I'm the surrogate mom. They get the baby in the bathwater and it's all happy. I get my writer's share on the back end. Sometimes I get a piece of the sync money. Varies on the deals. But yeah, that's okay. Then I'll do exclusive for that. But other than that, anything in my catalog, I am doing non-exclusively. And so I would do it to both. I'd be like, oh, this one has a lot of pop. I have a lot of pop. Here's the pop. Oh, this one has no pop. Oh, wow. Maybe they need me. I'm going to supply that. So that's what I'm saying. I hope that's a good question, is diversify. Do both. Both is exciting. You never know. And make sure, though, when you work with those libraries, that your metadata tags are endless. Like, you want to find every way there is to say uplifting and inspiring, because you never know what the person who's searching is using as a keyword. You know, since there are no standard keywords, we want to be making just tons of keywords so that if we're uploading to a library like that, so that they can definitely find it. They're great.
So we have one more question about organizing your catalog. I know you mentioned you organize your catalog via Excel. I've heard you speak on this in terms of whatever's best for you, right? Whatever makes sense for you.
Yeah, so I organize my catalog, and I have an alphabetical list in Excel where I keep all the metadata, all the information about the writers, the publishers, the master owners, the ISRC codes, the ISWC codes, the on and on and on. And every day when they tell me I need to have something else that they need the information of, I add that column to that Excel. So, you know, and this is all new because nobody asked for that like 10 years ago. And so, yeah, I have that. I also make sure that I try to make sure that my PRO catalog is in order, which it's not. Do as I say and not as I do, but I'm trying to. I have so many songs. And I also make sure on my iTunes where I house my music, which I really can't tell you enough that you should house your music in iTunes, not in Disco or on SoundCloud. You should be housing your music with metadata on iTunes. And so I manage my catalog as well in iTunes to make sure that the songs are all there. And iTunes is great because you can search by artist, you can search by genre, so you can organize your catalog in that way. And so there's these different places where one needs to organize and keep their catalog. But yeah, I love Excel for that. Now, I'm not very tech savvy. So for me, it works very well and it's user friendly. Just tedious sometimes because you're typing and sliding and copying and pasting and all of that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, we have a question about the course. So we mentioned earlier that it is going to be a smaller group because you want to keep it intimate. We do have a question asking how many people that you are taking. How large will the group be? And
I'm thinking, yeah, not much over 30. I'm thinking is going to be manageable, and
yeah.
can be less.
And you're over half full right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
yeah.
That's what I thought. Hopefully that helps. FM.
Yeah, I want to make sure it doesn't get too big so that I can't manage, you know, everybody. Yeah, because it's really 24/7 job for me. I mean, you know, it's been so, yeah, I have to be able to manage everybody.
Absolutely.
Make sure.
Okay, and then Jacqueline wants to know, do you copyright?
Oh my God, you're asking me these great questions. Okay, busted. I do not copyright. I don't bother. Like, okay, so recently I needed ISRC codes. I didn't have them. I needed 937 ISRC codes for my new Brazilian publisher. Oh my God. Okay, if I had to go do copyrights now, I would be doing thousands. It would cost me beyond amounts of money and time to do that. I would suggest do as I say, not as I do. If you don't have a big catalog and you haven't done it and you have a couple of songs, go for it. Do it. You know, just do it. Get all those codes. Do everything. Yeah, I have all those codes. I see Jennifer. I have all of them now. Everything's in place. I got it all done. But I'm only saying you don't. Thank you. You're only saying that you. Sorry, I lost my train of thought when I saw that. Yeah, you definitely, it's up to you. The only thing that a copyright really protects, because a song, if you don't know, most people know, a song is automatically copywritten once it's written. So if Brianna and I write a song, the minute the song is done and we put it into some tangible form, means we sang it into a little dictaphone and we played it on the piano and recorded it on a little tape recorder, however way it can actually be proven, or it's just the lyric and we type it up and there it is, it's copywritten. The only thing the copyright really preserves is legal fees in a lawsuit. So let's say that somebody sues me for saying I wrote their song, copyright infringement. Now, it doesn't prevent the lawsuit. Just because I have a copyright, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I still have to either pay the person to go away or go to court and have a lawsuit. But if I have a formal copyright and I lose, I'm going to get my legal fees back. If I have, or win, either way. If I have a formal copyright, I'm going to get my, let me say that again. No, if I lose, I'm not going to get them. But if I win, I'm going to get my legal fees back.
But if I don't have a formal copyright, I'm not going to get the legal fees themselves back. I'm going to get a settlement that's happy, hopefully, but I'm never going to get the legal fees back. So that's the reason to have a copyright, is for the legal fees. But it doesn't really matter anywhere else. If someone sues you, especially in this country, which is such a litigious country, if somebody sues you, you have to deal with it. You can't just say, but I have the copyright, because no one cares. It doesn't matter. The song is copywritten the minute it's written. So that's the only thing that that paperwork protects, is legal fees in a court situation. So anyway, it's up to you, but I don't do it because I don't know. I just never did, and then it piled up.
Okay, I do have one more question about the course. So you have a requisite or a prerequisite of the 10 songs minimum. There's a couple people here that say, I've got 7 songs, or, you know, can you just speak to that? Because I know that you put that in there for a purpose, and maybe it's not exactly 10, you know, only you can decide. So, you know.
Yeah, great. So I put that in as a purpose because on my last class, the problem was I'm teaching people to pitch and they have nothing to pitch. So that was not great for them because they didn't have enough songs to optimally get everything out of it that I wanted them to. So that's what that's about. If you have 7 songs, but you're still making songs, creating songs, then that's fine. I mean, I just don't want, if you have 7 songs and that's it, and you're not writing and you're not producing and nothing else is happening and that's all you have, that's not optimum. But if you have 7 songs and you have other ones in the works, haven't produced them all yet, that's enough. That's totally fine. Just so you come in with music that you can pitch.
Yes. So there's someone who has 3 songs. I think it looks like she's interested in doing the stuff. But can you tell us if you're also writing? You mentioned you have 3 songs, Sharon. So are you also writing others? 10 songs that are finished and mastered, or 10 songs that are close, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have some that are finished and mastered. You can't pitch anything that's not. So if you write me privately, send me, and we can discuss, what your plans are, how long it'll take you to finish the other ones, and blah, blah, blah. And we'll see how we can make it work. I'd love to make it work if we can. It's just not optimum. That's why that's there. I mean, you really could still take the course like my other students did, and we're creating songs during it. But I really wanted to have, people who would be most optimum for them to get the most out of it. It wasn't for my purposes, for me. It's just, just trying to get everyone to get the most out of it. So just send me an email and we'll chat about it.
Absolutely. And I put, just so you all know, I put Michelle's email inside the chat also. Lori wants to know, what if you have over 40 songs and no instrumentals?
Okay, so yeah, that's also a good question that nobody's really asking me, but that's a good question. So my songs from the 80s and 90s have my 90s do, but my 80s have no instrumentals. It's just the way it goes. Some people don't have instrumentals, but what I would suggest from now is that when you pitch those songs, you want to make sure you tell them that up front. Up front, I'm so sorry I don't have the instrumental. So they know. Some will be okay with it. Some will still listen and still use it. But if you don't give them that disclaimer and then you have none, they might get really angry. So just tell them up front. And now in the future, make sure you have instrumentals made every time you do a new song. Just start compiling them. Make sure that you walk out of the studio with those instrumentals. But, as long as you give them a disclaimer, like when I pitch my 80s songs, I'm telling them, disclaimer, they're pitchy, right? They have no auto-tune, they have fades at the end, they have instrumental sections, they're, everything that I discussed that we shouldn't have, they have them because that's what they did, right? Just to make sure they know I know that, and I have no instrumental versions, right? Just so they know. So I hope that answers that question, because that's a good question.
Yeah, no, I think so. Okay, so does anyone use MasterWriter to store songs or for organizing notes, lyrics, audio? That was a question by Summer.
Okay, so Master Writer is just fine. Like I didn't answer that other part of the question that Brianna asked, Ashley, because now I'm remembering that. I was saying that one of my students who's rocking it like crazy with her pitching uses a 3-ring binder to handwrite all her notes. You know, I use Excel. Master Writer, just fine, works great. If it works for you and it's ergonomic for you, then use it. That's fantastic. You don't have to, keep your notes any way that if you're not sharing with anybody else, this is for you personally, then yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're going to be like sometimes I have to share my catalog list with people for reasons, then I want to have it in Excel because it's very standard and easy for them and everybody knows it and they can just slide things from here to there. But if it's just for my own personal use, I use a thing called FileMaker for my database of addresses and stuff. It's as antiquated as can be, right? But it works for me. I don't share it with anybody else. So yeah, Master Writer's great. Go for it. If it works for you, that's great.
Well, I just want to welcome Dave to the course because he just signed up. So woohoo, Dave!
Oh, woohoo, Dave. Thank you. That's so fun. Can't wait to have you.
Okay, there's one other question. Well, I've got 2 more questions, okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Ian. Brianna knows I'll go on for 8 hours. So she's like,
I know. It's true. Well,
yeah.
I've literally done this for 3 hours of just Q&A for 3 hours, Michelle, because she just gives, which look, we can all appreciate that and we love it. And we love you for that. So thank you. But here's Ian. This goes back to the metadata question when we're talking about putting your metadata in iTunes. He's asking, are you referring to like the application or uploading it to the iTunes store? So,
oh yeah, that's so great. So no.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about the iTunes store, which is, being phased out and all that. We're talking about the iTunes that comes free in your computer, that you have your own music in, that if people send you a song, you can slide it in there, that you can play your music from. So it's much more optimum to not be just housing your songs in some kind of file on your desktop or in your Disco or SoundCloud or on the eCloud or wherever you're putting it. It's most optimum and industry standard to be having your songs in that iTunes that comes in your computer. And it's free. And you can, if you don't see it there, you can download it into it. It's free. And house your songs there. That way you can have your metadata there. And metadata being the artist's name, the writer, the publisher, the tag, so we know it's a girl vocal and it's up-tempo, empowering, inspiring, uplifting, blah, 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 your contact information, the BPM, who owns the master, blah, blah, blah. All that yummy stuff goes in that iTunes metadata, and there is a specific way it should be in there. And that is what's important. And then you want to, if you're using Disco or Dropbox or whatever, slide your songs from the iTunes into those send services rather than housing them in those send services. So that's what I meant by the iTunes. Yeah.
And I'm going to welcome Jenna Gladstone to the course.
Come on, Mike, and tell us how you like your name.
Can you come on, Mike, and tell us how you say your name?
It's Gina.
Gina, right on. I talk to you all the time, and I never talk to you in person. Right on. Okay, thank you for joining us. That's exciting. Thank you.
Excited.
Yeah, Gina and I have talked a bit, so that's really
awesome.
nice.
Yay,
really nice.
I'm gonna not butcher your name anymore, Gina. Sorry about that. Welcome, woohoo! Okay, so let's see. There's one other question that I don't want to miss from Jenny. If our old catalog masters are now owned by, for example, the Library of Congress, which bought the label, should we contact them regarding getting permission to pitch our songs?
Okay, that makes no sense. The Library of Congress doesn't buy music catalogs. So I'm not, maybe you can.
Which bought the label?
Yeah, the Library of Congress doesn't buy labels or music catalogs. So that doesn't make sense. Do you mean that the label sold the catalog to another label? Because that happens all the time and makes sense.
Jenny, can you clarify your question if possible? Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh,
she can come on, Mike.
Yeah, come on.
Hello? Oh, there you are.
Okay, good. Our Hooli Records, our Hooli Records sold their whole catalog to I believe it's Library of Congress Folkways.
Oh, to Folkways. Okay. So that's fine. That's fine. So you want to know if you should ask them if you can license it. Well, who owns the masters? They own the masters, right?
Yeah.
And do you own your own
It
publishing?
used to be
Who
our
owns,
Hooli that owned the masters.
and who owns the publishing?
Yes.
Yes, what? Who owns the publishing is the question.
I do.
Okay. So if you own the publishing, that
I
means that
do
you,
for my own songs, and then a number of them are covers of traditional songs.
okay. So then you can pitch the song on the sync part, right? You can license the synchronization part, the writer-publisher part, but the library would have to be doing the master licenses for the master part. And you would need, yes, it would behoove you to ask them if you can pitch the songs so they're aware up front that you're doing that in case you play something, right? So that would be optimum for you because you can't license them one stop. So that means that, let's say you say I'm the music supervisor and you send me a cover that I'm in love with, but you don't own the master anymore, that Folkways owns the master, and you didn't clear with them up front that that was okay, that you pitched it, and they turn it down, the music supervisor will blacklist you. So you, for sure, it's always better to err on the side of caution and stuff like that, and just ask them in writing to give you that you can pitch the songs. They'll still probably have to do the master license and insist on that, but if they allow you to pitch them, that's great. And I will say, in terms of covers, that's a little useless for you because you'll only get credit, but you're not going to probably get any money if they own the masters, because all the master money for the cover is going to go to them, and then you're not going to get anything. So that's up to you.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, but still, you know, credits are good. They're always happy to get. And if you did write the song and then they give you permission to pitch it, then that's great, because then at least you can take care of the synchronization side. Does that make sense? Jenny? Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. Yeah, so everybody, that's a good question that we should always, you know, if there's something that is not owned, we don't own, it doesn't belong to us, we should be discussing and have paperwork with the parties that do own the entity so that everything is all aligned.
Absolutely. So I'm going to wrap this up. I don't see, I'm going to maybe give 1 second to give like final question. And I just got it from the amazing Gail. Do you do publishing deals where you can pitch independently?
Well, that's cool. I mean, I don't do publishing deals anymore because I own my own publishing, love to play with my own publishing. I have sub-publishing deals in foreign territories. And I do, in my sub-publishing deals, have very strange clauses, where I am allowed to pitch my own songs, where even though they're supposed to have the exclusive right, you know, yeah, like in your sub-pub deal, they have exclusive right to exploit it, the exclusive right to sync it. I make them non-exclusive so that they can get all the money, they can collect the money and then distribute it to me, but so I can pitch directly in all those territories. My new Brazilian publisher, I just did that. My UK publisher, my new South African publisher, everybody, I do that. So when I had publishing deals in the past, co-publishing deals, I also did that. And in one of my co-publishing deals, which was with Ira Jaffe, I know you know Ira, I was able to hire my own song plugger outside of the company to work on my catalog as well. So I'm always making sure I can pitch independently. When I do the deals with the exclusive music libraries that commission me, I ask them if I can pitch the songs as well. And it's 50-50 on that. Some are love it and think it's awesome. They still, the money still flows through them, but some are very, very, hold everything very close and they don't allow it. So it depends. But with publishing deals, I don't do publishing deals anymore except for the sub-pub deals. But never say never. I mean, if something came along that was for some reason a good fit, I'm open to everything. So that was a great question.
So Jenny just hopped back on saying she got kicked off of Zoom in the middle of your response. But I think she was around for the bulk of it. So
yeah, write me an email and I can fix what you didn't hear. Yeah.
You can send her an email. So we want to say thank you for everyone for being here. Also want to welcome Jen in the chorus. Jen has signed up as well. Jen Richardson. So
hey,
welcome.
Jen, how are you? I talked to Jen. Hi.
Awesome.
Hi,
and
how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. This is like, another half year of work that I put in, and I just need something else for our artist project, and just needing to breathe new life into this. And it's funny that you say music is your air. So,
that's funny. Yeah, it is. That's exciting. We're gonna do it.
Popping up everywhere, and I'm like, there she is again. I don't know. I just follow the signs. I'm like, this is supposed to be. So yeah, very excited.
I'm very excited. That's really great. We're gonna get it all out there and doing. So you're like my others, like I'm like on my Shake, who's like cleaning up the world. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. That's so cool,
we had so many wonderful comments. Everyone, thank you for being here today.
I can't wait to read this.
If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email Michelle. She is the boss when it comes to responding to email, and she's really serious about it. So she will respond to you. It might take a little bit because she is a busy woman, but she will get back to you. And leaving that link one more time to her online course or to her live coaching course from Song to Sync. We obviously got a bunch more people in it today. So again, it's narrowing in on spots. So get your spot in there.
I'm excited.
If you're ready for something like this, you're not going to go wrong with Michelle. And again, thanks for being here.
Katie Max here. Hey, girl. Yeah, I just saw something go back. I just want to say that I definitely answer everything, but right now there are 2,700 emails in my inbox. So if I don't answer you pretty quickly, write me again and tell me I didn't see it. Like, I'm pretty quick to answer, and I answer everybody. I want everyone to answer me. Like, it drives me crazy, right? If I'm writing someone and they don't write me back. So I always write back. The only time I don't write back is if I don't see it. Like, even this morning I had to write Brianna, Brianna, I cannot find that email that I need to have. I cannot. Can you send that to me? Because, sometimes I got to clean my inbox out. It gets like crazy. But other than that, I'm here, so definitely right. You won't hear my New York accent in the email, but.
Gail says, good luck, everyone. Do Michelle's course. She's a fountain of knowledge and generous about sharing it. Gail, thanks for being here
Gail,
today.
you rock. I can't wait to read all the stuff you wrote here, because I know you shared some amazing information to everybody too. So thank you so much for the endorsement and being here. That's super.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you again. And please email Michelle with any further questions. You guys got a ton out of this, and we're so grateful you were here for a full 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm glad that was helpful. We did it.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Super fun. Bye.
Bye.